Unidentified objects have long been a subject of intrigue and speculation, with numerous sightings reported worldwide. As space exploration continues to advance, attention has turned to the possibility of sightings during space missions. Spacex, founded by visionary entrepreneur Elon Musk, has emerged as a leading private space exploration company. With a mission to make space travel more accessible and affordable, Spacex has achieved several historic milestones, including the successful launch and retrieval of reusable rockets. As SpaceX missions have become more frequent and publicized, they have also attracted increased attention from enthusiasts and researchers who keep a keen eye on footage and live streams from these space journeys. Several reports of unidentified objects during SpaceX missions have surfaced over the years. These sightings involve the observation of unusual and unexplained objects in the vicinity of the spacecraft, prompting questions about their origin and nature. One notable incident occurred during the SpaceX Crew Dragon mission to the International Space Station. As the spacecraft approached the International Space Station, viewers noticed a mysterious object passing near the capsule on the live stream. The object appeared to be a bright, fast-moving light, leading to widespread speculation and excitement within the community. Those who saw the object said that it was in the shape of a triangle. The phenomenon of triangle-shaped aircrafts began to gain prominence in the latter half of the 20th century. Witnesses described these objects as large, silent, and black triangular crafts, often with lights at each corner. They are characterized by their ability to hover, accelerate rapidly, and move silently across the sky, differentiating them from conventional aircraft. These mysterious aircrafts were commonly sighted during the 1980s and 1990s. Various hypotheses have been proposed to explain these triangle-shaped aircrafts, though none have been definitively proven. Some have suggested that they could be advanced military aircrafts. Skeptics posit that these sightings could be attributed to classified military aircraft undergoing testing or surveillance operations. The triangular shape and advanced capabilities may be the result of cutting-edge technology. Other theories suggest that these objects may be advanced, secret technology developed by governments or private corporations, concealed from public knowledge for security reasons. Enthusiasts who research the unknown have proposed that these triangle-shaped aircrafts may be evidence of advanced visitations to Earth. After each reported sighting during SpaceX missions, the claims are subjected to scrutiny and investigation. Scientists and experts analyze available footage and data to identify potential natural or man-made explanations for the observed phenomena. In the case of the SpaceX Crew Dragon mission, NASA and SpaceX officials acknowledged the sighting, but quickly dismissed it as a reflection from the spacecraft's own thrusters or other debris in the vicinity. They emphasized that the appearance of these objects is not uncommon during space missions and can often be explained by mundane factors. Despite efforts to explain these sightings, challenges remain in conclusively determining the nature of the observed objects. In the absence of concrete evidence, skepticism persists among mainstream scientists and space agencies. While investigators remain cautious, proponents of the existence of advanced life see these reported sightings as potential evidence of an advanced presence in space. They argue that the vastness of the universe and the increasing number of exoplanets discovered suggest that the possibility of life beyond Earth cannot be dismissed. For some, sightings during SpaceX missions serve as a reminder that space exploration opens up new frontiers and opportunities to encounter the unknown. The search for advanced life continues to captivate the public imagination and drives scientific endeavors, such as the search for biosignatures and habitable exoplanets. One positive outcome of these sightings during SpaceX missions is the heightened interest in space exploration and the cosmos. These sightings capture the public's attention, sparking conversations about the possibility of life beyond Earth and the need to explore and understand our universe better. The fascination with unidentified objects also serves as a catalyst for inspiring the next generation of space enthusiasts and scientists. The allure of the unknown and the prospect of encountering the extraordinary encourage young minds to pursue careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Unidentified objects have captivated the human imagination for generations, sparking curiosity and speculation about the possibility of advanced life. Among the countless reported sightings, a particular category, the triangle-shaped ones, has emerged as a source of fascination and intrigue. Triangle-shaped unidentified objects have been documented globally, often described as large, silent, and low-flying objects, with lights at each corner. Triangle-shaped sightings have extended beyond Earth's atmosphere, making their presence known during space missions. Astronauts on various missions have reported anomalous sightings of triangular objects near spacecraft, prompting intrigue and investigation. During the Space Shuttle mission in 1991, astronauts captured a video showing several fast-moving, flashing objects in space. Analysis of the footage revealed a triangular pattern, leading to speculation about the presence of unidentified spacecraft. Astronauts, who have ventured beyond the Earth's atmosphere, have reported unusual sightings of objects that cannot be easily identified. During space missions, astronauts have described seeing bright lights, fast-moving objects, and other unexplained phenomena. One of the most famous accounts comes from Apollo 11 astronauts, who during their journey to the Moon reported seeing a strange object near their spacecraft. The astronauts later attributed the sighting to a detached panel from their spacecraft, but the incident sparked speculation about mysterious encounters in space. The sightings of unidentified objects in space have led to a variety of explanations. Skeptics often attribute these sightings to space debris, satellites, or optical illusions caused by the peculiar conditions of space travel. On the other hand, some enthusiasts and researchers propose that the sightings could be evidence of advanced civilizations observing human space exploration. The vastness of the cosmos and the potential for other intelligent life forms fuel speculation about possible advanced encounters. The sightings of mysterious lights in space raise the question known as the Fermi paradox. If advanced civilizations are abundant in the universe, why have we not made contact with them? This paradox continues to puzzle scientists and suggests that there may be factors limiting communication or encounters with other advanced civilizations. Sightings during space missions and the associated debates have had an impact on space exploration and policy. Space agencies like NASA have been compelled to address sightings by providing explanations for specific incidents to maintain public trust and confidence. Investigating sightings in space presents unique challenges. The vastness of space makes it difficult to verify sightings, and the limited number of space missions limits opportunities for direct observations. Furthermore, the secrecy surrounding certain space missions and the reluctance of space agencies to disclose sensitive information have fueled ideas about hidden knowledge of advanced encounters.
Michio Kaku predicts alien contact. Michio Kaku has gained a reputation as a renowned physicist and futurist. Having written numerous books on scientific topics, gained popularity as a presenter, and achieved recognition as the co-founder of string field theory, he is well regarded as an authority in the field of science. Michio made headlines when he claimed that humans would encounter alien life forms within this century. Michio stated, "I think we will pick up a signal from an intelligent civilization in outer space in this century. However, that doesn't mean we'll have a two-way conversation. They could be many hundreds of light years away, so it would take hundreds of years for a conversation to take place. But when that takes place, when we do eavesdrop on an intelligent civilization in outer space, that could be a turning point in the history of civilization on Earth." He claims that life throughout the Milky Way is inevitable, adding that when we look out into the night sky, we must realize that someone could be looking back, also wondering if other life forms may exist in our solar system. Michio also claims that we won't just find any signs of life, but also intelligent life. Our galaxy is potentially packed with billions of Earth-like planets that could host a variety of different life forms. Although the actual number of exoplanets far exceeds the 4,000 that have already been recorded and verified, the number of Earth-like planets in our galaxy is estimated to be around 6 billion. Michio explains that when we do encounter life on other planets, we would first need to determine what category of species they are, breaking them down into 3 types: Type 1, Type 2, and Type 3 civilizations. A Type 1 civilization would be roughly 100 years more advanced than our current state on Earth. A Type 2 civilization would be stellar and would be a few thousand years ahead of us. A Type 3 civilization would be over 100,000 years more advanced, be able to control black holes and roam space at will. Kaku highlights the dangers we face when encountering other life forms, as we are Type 0. After intercepting otherworldly messages, he claims we would need to identify the type of civilization they are and the threat they pose. Though Michio thinks that for the most part they will leave us be, as there's no need to plunder our planet for resources, but they will no doubt be curious.
Green Pea galaxies may have reheated the universe. The Big Bang is the leading and most widely accepted theory as to how the universe was formed. As we understand it, we experienced a Big Bang, an explosion of sorts, in which the universe was in an incredibly hot and dense state. This was then followed by a period in which the universe cooled down for an approximate billion years. After this cooling period, there was a mysterious reheating that took place. We call this the cosmic reionization. We do not know why or how this reheating occurred, except that in 2016, an international team of scientific researchers believe they may have cracked the code, finding the hidden catalyst that kick-started this heating process. There are galaxies, dubbed Green Pea Galaxies, thanks to how they look on the slogan Digital Sky Survey, or SDSS, which are believed to have played a key part in the cosmic reionization. These Green Pea Galaxies are responsible for putting new stars and new galaxies into the universe in a manner not too dissimilar than the Big Bang itself. This introduced a lot of new energy into the early cosmos, possibly having had a monumental impact. Despite how long ago this took place, the dwarf galaxies created from this lay undiscovered until 2007. They were only noticed by mistake as volunteers began to study deep space photos and gradually spotted their presence. The 2016 hypothesis that these Green Pea Galaxies were behind the cosmic reionization was a consequence of a study from the SDSS, which examined 5,000 Green Pea Galaxies. From these 5,000, just 5 were selected to be examined and analyzed in more depth via the Webb Space Telescope, one of which, given the snappy name J09251403, was emitting photons that had the capability to ionize hydrogen. Until this particular Green Pea Galaxy was observed, any galaxies that had been leaking photons were at a rate so slow that they were easily absorbed by the surrounding gas and dust. J09251403, however, was ejecting photons at such a high volume and rate that the impact was far more significant. The explanation of hydrogen ionization is in keeping with the current assumptions and facts we have surrounding this reheating. Already the electrons and protons splitting apart despite being previously joined within hydrogen atoms. This would provide a new burst of energy, like what we assume would be needed. The link between cosmic reionization and these Green Pea Galaxies is useful as it tells us where we need to be looking to find out further information. It gives us a starting point to search further into the area. It is hoped that the James Webb Space Telescope would provide some further information once it is fully configured. Parker discovers natural radio emission in Venus's atmosphere. On the first ever mission to connect with the Sun, a spacecraft approximately the size of a small car detected natural radio emissions near Venus as it flew through the planet's upper atmosphere. NASA's Parker space probe
took a short adventure by Venus and was able to send back data that confirms confusing changes during a solar cycle. This information could provide clues to figuring out why Venus and Earth have so many differences. Venus and Earth were formed in comparable circumstances. They are approximately the same size, both are rocky, and their structures are alike. However, extreme differences developed shortly after the birth of these planets. Venus does not have a magnetic field, and its surface temperature is so hot that it is capable of melting lead. Venus is so inhospitable that other spacecraft have only lasted a couple of hours there. The Parker Solar Probe had its third flyby past Venus on July 11, 2020. The goal of each flyby is to allow the spacecraft to get closer and closer to the Sun. This was the closest flyby of Venus to date. The Parker Solar Probe managed to be 517 miles above the surface. Venus expert Glyn Collinson of NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland, was so excited to have new data from Venus. Even though the Parker Solar Probe was closest to Venus for only 7 minutes, a natural low-frequency radio signal was picked up. At first, the thin, frown shape of the data was a mystery, but Collinson felt it was somehow familiar. Then he remembered he had seen it before, during a previous work assignment with NASA's Galileo orbiter for an exploration of Jupiter and its moons. A similar frown appeared whenever Galileo passed through the ionospheres of Jupiter's moons. Researchers were able to use the radio emissions that the Parker Solar Probe picked up to calculate the density of the ionosphere that it flew through. The last time direct measurements of Venus's ionosphere were acquired was in 1992, with information from the Pioneer Venus orbiter. Those measurements were taken during a solar maximum, which is the peak of the solar cycle. The latest measurements are during a solar minimum and have confirmed that Venus's ionosphere is thinner than during the solar maximum. These latest discoveries will help scientists figure out how Venus and Earth could have diverged down two such different paths after once being so similar. NASA engineers puzzled by Voyager 1 data. Recently, veteran spacecraft Voyager 1 left scientists scratching their heads at the strange nature of some new readings. The spacecraft, which was launched over 40 years ago in 1977, has spent the decades journeying further and further from Earth, taking readings and measurements as it goes. Initially intended to simply study Jupiter and Saturn, successful discoveries on these planets led researchers to expand Voyager 1's mission, eventually entering interstellar space in a historic event in August of 2012. Interstellar space is the mysterious space between the stars, filled with a wealth of material cast off by fading stars over millions of years. The readings Voyager 1 gathers from such unique excursions provide valuable information about such a mysterious and little-studied aspect of the cosmos. However, recently, some of these readings have been giving scientists pause. It seems that the attitude, articulation, and control system readings are nothing more than randomly generated telemetry, as the data being collected appears to be generating impossible readouts. These readings are what keep Voyager 1's antenna pointing at our planet to enable communication, and the antenna has not strayed from its position oriented towards Earth. Additionally, the built-in fault protection systems which would detect system failures or other malfunctions have not been triggered. It seems that everything is in perfect working order, except for the fact that the readings appear to be impossible. Suzanne Dodd, a project manager for Voyager 1 with NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, spoke in a statement regarding the strange occurrence, saying that with regards to Voyager 1 and its counterpart Voyager 2, a mystery like this is sort of par for the course at this stage of the Voyager mission. The spacecraft are both almost 45 years old, which is far beyond what the mission planners anticipated. We're also in interstellar space, a high radiation environment that no spacecraft have flown in before. So there are some big challenges for the engineering team. But I think if there's a way to solve this issue with the AACS, our team will find it. As Voyager 1 is currently the furthest human-made object from Earth, flying through space at an astonishing 23.3 billion kilometers away, Despite the seemingly impossibility of the readings, there is a chance that they are still meaningful and point to a mysterious phenomenon that we do not yet understand. Yet, after nearly 5 decades of constant exposure to high-powered cosmic radiation, it would surprise no one to discover that things have gone a little haywire and the valiant Voyager 1 might be showing its age at last. At the very least, researchers hope that this is nothing more than a minor malfunction, as the signal strength is not diminishing and the antenna is still functioning properly despite the impossible data. Searching diligently for the source of the problem, NASA scientists hope to locate and correct the problem and get Voyager 1 back into service as soon as possible. Equipped with 3 plutonium-fueled radioisotope thermoelectric generators that are expected to be able to power the probe until at least 2025, perhaps there are a few more years of life left in Voyager 1 after all. A 13.5 billion-year-old star. A new discovery has given scientists a reason to rethink what they thought they knew about our galaxy. The discovery in question is a star called 2MASS J 1808-2002-510437-8b. Is believed to be around 13.5 billion years old. If this is the case, the star would have been born only slightly after the Big Bang. Surprisingly, the star is also relatively close to us. This new discovery has made scientists wonder if the galaxy is perhaps older than they previously thought. According to the study's lead author and Johns Hopkins University astronomer Kevin Schlaufman, this star is maybe 1 in 10 million. It tells us something very important about the first generation of stars. There are other surprising things about this star besides its very existence. For one, the star is quite small, as it is just 14% of our Sun's mass. For a long time, researchers assumed that small stars would not have formed during the beginning of the universe. They also believed they would be impossible to observe because they would have faded out by now. As time passed, simulations pointed to the possibility of old, low-mass stars. Low-mass stars can live far longer than massive stars. For example, red dwarfs, which are only a fraction of the size of our Sun, are believed to be able to live for trillions of years. Additionally, while most metal-poor stars orbit away from the galactic plane in the Milky Way, this star remains in the plane along with our Sun. Scientists have always been fascinated by stars that are short of metal because they are thought to have formed shortly after the Big Bang, just like this newly discovered star. While scientists have only found a handful of very old stars, they hope this finding begins an era of more discoveries. According to Schlaufman, if our inference is correct, then low-mass stars that have a composition exclusively the outcome of the Big Bang can exist. Even though we have not yet found an object like that in our galaxy, it can exist. As scientists gather more data and discoveries, we hope to learn more about the origin of life. Astronomers discover new type of star that science cannot yet explain. Not only is there much to uncover about the history of this planet of ours, but there is a vast, unknown universe out there that we want to know more about. Yet, we learn more and more every day. This includes a new type of star that German astronomers have discovered whose origins they have not yet been able to explain. These new white dwarfs are covered in what seems like an ash layer that is usually produced by burning helium. Usually, when stars run out of fuel, they explode, leaving behind a dense core that no longer undergoes fusion. The remnants of these stars are called white dwarfs that then go through a cooling process to the background temperature of the universe for trillions of years. However, the discovery of this new type of star has left scientists scratching their heads. While white dwarfs have atmospheres made chiefly of hydrogen or helium, these new stars have an incredible amount of carbon and oxygen in their atmospheres. Usually, white dwarfs have either no traces of carbon and oxygen or a slight amount, but astronomers found these elements take up as much as 20% of their atmospheres. Even more surprising is that these white dwarfs are hotter and wider than most white dwarfs, which indicates that their cores may still be burning helium. As the lead researcher of the team, Professor Klaus Werner reflected, Normally we expect stars with these surface compositions to have already finished burning helium in their cores, and to be on their way to becoming white dwarfs. These new stars are a severe challenge to our understanding of stellar evolution. Despite the mystery, researchers have a hypothesis for what created these new stars. White dwarf pairs can sometimes pull each other together until they collide and form a new object. The researchers believe that if a carbon and oxygen-rich white dwarf collided with a helium-rich one, it is possible they could have formed these strange stars. This hypothesis is not fully explained by the new star's features, however, so more investigation needs to be done. There is only one thing that is certain when it comes to these new stars, and that is that we are only beginning to get to the bottom of what they are and what their discovery means in terms of our understanding of the universe. James Webb Space Telescope takes a photograph of an Einstein ring 12 billion light-years away. The James Webb Space Telescope has begun to capture the hearts of many, just like Hubble did before it. Setting off to flight in December 2021, the James Webb Space Telescope has begun to provide tremendous observations and already has a whole list of research opportunities just waiting for it. In July, the wonderful talents of the telescope were shared with the world when NASA released the first full-color images provided by the telescope. Though, of course, this is not where the magnificence ends. Since the initial buzz of what Webb can do, we have seen it gather shots of evidence of a supernova, of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere of an exoplanet, and even an Einstein ring. An Einstein ring is formed when the light of a galaxy or star passes by a huge object as it travels to Earth. This then experiences gravitational lensing, meaning that the light is diverted. This creates almost an illusion, where the light looks as though it has different origins. If the source, lens, and the observer, in this case the James Webb Space Telescope, are lined up perfectly, then a ring will form. This is a somewhat rare occurrence, so it's without a doubt an exciting opportunity to see with such clarity like this. The JWST has brought us a picture-perfect view of the galaxy SPT SJ041839-47518. Well, not quite. It looks as though we are seeing an Einstein ring from this galaxy. But it's the light bending around a galaxy in front of it, closer to Earth, so it's not the initial galaxy forming the light as we might expect. Regardless, we might have spoiled the magic a little bit, but it doesn't take anything away from a breathtaking photo. Mysterious ring structure around Supernova 1987A. For over 3 decades, the supernova 1987A has fascinated astronomers. The light from the supernova, which lives in a dwarf satellite galaxy of the Milky Way called the Large Magellanic Cloud, reached scientists in 1987. And since it was the first supernova discovered that year, it was given the apt name Supernova 1987A. The supernova has an incredible history, and the first supernova that astronomers have been able to study in depth. It has its own special place in history. The astronomers have also used their observations of the supernova to learn a significant amount about core collapse supernovae. In a NASA Hubble Space Telescope image, 3 mysterious rings of gas can be seen around Supernova 1987A. The image came from the Wide Field Planetary Camera 2 in February 1994. These rings have remained a mystery for many years. The 3 rings are assumed to be in different planes, with the smallest ring lying in a plane that contains the supernova, and the other 2 lying in front and behind it. Astronomers were expecting to see a bubble of gas in the shape of an hourglass being blown into space by the supernova's progenitor star, so the rings were an interesting surprise. However, it's possible that a high-energy radiation beam may have painted the 2 rings on an invisible hourglass. As for what the source of the high-energy radiation beam is, it could be a stellar remnant that was a binary companion to the original star that exploded all the way back in 1987. It's always exciting to completely solve a long-standing mystery, and while astronomers may not have gotten to the point yet when it comes to these rings, a breakthrough might be just around the corner. We'll just have to wait and see. alien organisms could hitch a ride on our spacecraft. We are in an exciting age of space exploration, with space companies worldwide expanding across more and more impressive horizons. Though as we continue our research, looking at exoplanets and searching for life, we could run the risk of encountering more and more problems too. Some scientists have begun to express concern that alien organisms could become an invasive species harming us here on Earth, or that we might be causing problems elsewhere, introducing our Earth organisms to alien environments. Think back to your science lessons at school. We know that ecosystems are fragile. Here on Earth, humans have caused problems beyond repair, letting organisms invade new environments they would not reach otherwise. One example of this is the South American fungus Austropurchinia seedi being introduced to Australia, where it stunted and threatened the eucalyptus trees native to Australia. Imagine if this happens on a much greater scale. We are not evolved and adapted to deal with alien biological threats of this kind. With Earth being in isolation by our nature as a planet, it is safe to assume the devastation would be even greater, having never encountered any organisms other than those that are our own. Could it be smart to stop trying to intentionally find and interact with alien life forms? Should we stop the search? While the idea of invasive species is frightening, scientists do acknowledge the risk of biological contamination like this is low, though with every mission out there, it does increase. Realistically, the changes of an organism surviving the intense conditions of outer space while clinging to the outside of one of our spaceships and making it back to Earth are minimal. The harsh environment does limit the possibility, though that does not mean we should not remain cautious. There are some regulations in place already to help ensure the safety of us here on Earth and any potential life on the planets we could be visiting. NASA and other big space agencies have long been aware of these risks, and so planetary protection policies have been in place since the 1960s, designed to look after all parties involved. Some scientists have expressed concern towards private space exploration, namely SpaceX. SpaceX's aim to travel to Mars with the SpaceX Starship program, coupled with their lack of agreement to adhere to the policies in place, all has presented a cause for concern. Researchers are suggesting an increase in the severity of the biosecurity protocols surrounding space travel. This includes a focus on detecting possible contaminants early on and having a series of procedures in place to respond to these threats quickly and efficiently. So, whatever you think about alien life out there or are concerned about how finding alien life might go for us, there are plenty of plans, research and theories in place. It does not stop the age of space exploration from being as exciting as it is. A mysterious metallic mass on the dark side of the moon. You're probably aware that the moon is rather large, but how big is it really? To give you some perspective, experts recently discovered a mysterious metallic mass on the dark side of the moon that is approximately 5 times the size of Hawaii's Big Island. The mass is better described as an enormous crater that was imprinted into the surface of the moon billions of years ago. It's believed to have happened when the moon's surface has cooled enough for the crater to leave its mark. Now you may be wondering, how on earth did NASA discover this mass in the first place? They were able to use data from their gravity recovery and interior laboratory mission, as well as the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter topography. They were reviewing their previous calculations of the crust of the crater's thickness and density when they stumbled upon the formerly unknown mass. From the surface, it isn't obvious, but it's dragging down the landscape and is known as a central depression. This information has led to information surrounding the interior of the moon, and scientists are at work to unravel even more. Understanding how this mysterious mass came to be could be the beginning of truly understanding how the moon was formed, as well as provide information about how other celestial bodies grow. There are already multiple trips to the moon in the planning stages, and this area has become a new target. Getting up close and personal with the unknown mass is the best way to provide experts with more information. The mission had previously collected new information surrounding the gravitational field to understand what's happening on the surface and underground. Whilst they've been able to gather this data, there's still a lot we don't know yet. With the information experts currently hold, there could be two explanations for this unusual mass. One possibility is that when the moon's ancient magma oceans were cooling, dense oxides could have formed, creating the mass we see today. With that being said, scientists aren't sure that would have happened on that layer of the crater. Looking for another possible explanation, they reasoned that the mass could be the result of an ancient impactor. It's believed that the impact could have created a hole that then partially filled with molten rock. NASA still can't be certain as to how the mass appeared, but future trips to the moon will help the experts in exploration of the mysterious mass and potentially collect evidence to answer the question. This discovery has only led humankind to think more about the creation of all planets in our solar system, considering how small rocks and foreign objects most likely smash into each other, slowly creating larger rocks. It's easy to feel lost in it all, but we're on the road to closing the gap and finding what we're looking for.
Astronomers find the smallest white dwarf. Everyone loves a good paradox, as confusing as they may be. In that spirit, astronomers appear to have discovered the smallest and simultaneously the largest white dwarf star ever seen. The sheer size of this white dwarf is small, clocking in at just 4,300 kilometers, making it a little larger than Earth's moon. However, despite its small size, this white dwarf has an unexpectedly heavy mass. Dr. Ilaria Chiazzo, the lead author of the study, published in Nature, and an astronomer at Caltech University, explained the white dwarf star as packing a mass greater than that of our Sun into a body about the size of our Moon. As far as our current understanding goes, white dwarf stars are the last step in the life cycle of a star with a mass too small to become a neutron star or a black hole. If it is large enough, the now dead star will explode, forming a supernova. This particular white dwarf, the small but heavy ZTF J1901 plus 14858, was formed by two smaller white dwarfs merging together, combining their masses to create a sum mass just below the number we would usually see them explode at. This combination created a white dwarf that is tiny in physical stature but has a mass 1.3 times that of our Sun. Dr. Harvey Richer, an astronomy professor at UBC and an author on the paper, explained that this could act as a test to give us more information on white dwarf stars, allowing us to confirm, deny, or amend our current theories and understandings. He explained, current theory holds that the more mass a white dwarf star possessed, the smaller it would become. This is completely the opposite of what one would normally think. He continues to elaborate, explaining that for the mass of a white dwarf star as large as ZTF J1901 plus 1458, we would expect it to be as large as the Earth, at least, and not as small as the Moon. Now scientists are speculating what will come of the strange white dwarf star. Will its mass make it big enough to evolve into a neutron star, a fate usually reserved for stars bigger in size than our Sun? The research team do not seem to find this too implausible, suggesting that the dense number of electrons and protons forming neutrons in its core and the pressure from the electrons against gravity could result in the star collapsing when enough electrons are removed. This has the potential to change our understanding of how neutron stars are formed and begs the question as to how many others were formed this way. Though this does all depend on if this hypothesis is correct. All we can do now is wait and observe. The Skull Asteroid, TB145. In 2015, on Halloween no less, an ominous space rock flew past our planet. The hunk of mass was thought to be a lifeless comet which had lost all of its vaporous properties, such as water due to countless orbits around the Sun. Astronomers were taken aback by the appearance of the asteroid as it looks hauntingly similar to a cosmically sized human skull. The 2015 flyby cut it pretty close by space standards.
It passed with only 1.27 lunar distances between. The comet passed again in 2018 but kept more of a distance. Because the comet is extinct, it has no tail. It is relatively small, all things considered, clocking in at approximately 2,047 feet or 625 meters. Vishnu Reddy, a scientist at the Planetary Science Institute in Tucson, Arizona, had this to say about it, according to NASA's JPL site. We found that the object reflects about 6% of the light it receives from the sun. That is similar to fresh asphalt, and while here on Earth we think that is pretty dark, it is brighter than a typical comet, which reflects only 3 to 5% of the light. That suggests it could be cometary in origin, but as there is no comma evident, the conclusion is it is a lifeless comet. It is indeed, Mr. Eddy. While it is projected to pass Venus and Mercury several times in the next few years, it is not scheduled to pass by Earth again until 2082. It should be noted that the eerie appearance of the beaming skull is only visible from certain angles, so for anyone thinking that this could be a threat or perhaps a greeting from intelligent life, it's more likely that it is our own narcissistic biases getting the better of us.
So, what do you make of these mysterious space discoveries? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.